I just think that there needs to be more appreciation demonstrated to Trump loyalists because unfortunately, we do see a lot of gatekeeping in the GOP. And the thing that I harped on the most during the campaign season was, the importance of vetting. I thought that we were keeping a binder full of receipts. I don't know if some of the people on the campaign meant it when they said they were keeping the receipts, but I meant it. Yeah. I literally have a binder of receipts, and I know who's loyal and I know who is disloyal.
That's Laura Loomer, and apparently she got several people within the Trump administration fired recently. They're specifically individuals who were members of the National Security Council. And so Loomer shows up to the White House, has a nice little conversation, and boom, these people are gone. And so what was behind all of this? Well, apparently Signalgate was the reasoning behind, wait, was it Signalgate? Maybe it wasn't, no. She claimed that these individuals are neocons, they need to go. Neocons don't represent the best interests of the Trump administration and the MAGA movement. But Signalgate does play a role in this because Mike Waltz is still employed by the Trump administration.
So we're gonna get to all that.
Yeah.
And I'm conflicted in this story for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm also befuddled because Laura Loomer is anti-Muslim, and she's said it proudly in the past. She claims now that she's not, but okay. She said a lot of anti-Muslim things that are hard to take back. If she means they're great, but I'd be shocked, right? And she's pro-Israel, and pro-Israel usually is neocon, right?
Yep.
So the neocons are the ones that wanted us to invade 7 countries on behalf of Israel. So she's trying to get the neocons fired? Either there's something wrong with this story and they're reporting it kind of wrong, right? Or if it's true, is Laura Loomer principled? And she's actually against neocons?
I don't know.
I don't know, that would be shocking.
I'm gonna reserve judgment on that because look, fact of the matter is the Trump administration at this moment is full to the brim with neocons. And I'm not just talking about like low-level officials at the National Security Council. I'm talking about cabinet officials. Marco Rubio is a neocon. Okay.
So is Waltz.
Waltz is Mike Waltz is a neocon. Another one is Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is a neocon. So it's
so some argue that Hegseth's on the bubble. Okay, he likes war, but is he? No.
He's
in
a
the book,
he's a neocon.
He thought that Americans should get arrested if Israel doesn't like him or something. He's a neocon. But anyway, some people make the argument that he's not, or that he's on the bubble. But there's others too. There's Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel, unsurprising. And then there was Elise Stefanik, who was going to be our UN ambassador, but she got pulled because they were afraid of losing her seat in Congress. And she caught a lot of feelings over that. But at least she got pulled. But Mike Waltz is in the room when Laura Loomer is asking for the heads of all these neocons, and he's a neocon. So this is a super interesting story. And a lot of people will say Loomer shouldn't even be in the room. There, I'm gonna have a little bit of a unique opinion.
Okay, so as I mentioned, and I was correct. So this is in the wake of the Signalgate scandal. And so Laura Loomer goes to the White House and speaks to Trump specifically to get National Security Council officials fired. And he followed through, he listened. So among those who were let go include Brian Walsh, the Senior Director for Intelligence, Thomas Boudry, the Senior Director for Legislative Affairs, Maggie Doherty, the Senior Director for International Organizations, and David Feith, the Senior Director overseeing technology and national security. So look, to be fair, they're not low-level officials. These are directors within the National Security Council. Now, apart from the firing, several other officials who had been working on or at the National Security Council were reassigned back to their home agencies over the weekend. And this was even before this White House meeting took place. Now, notably though, as we've mentioned, Mike Waltz, who is the individual who added Atlantic journalist Jeffrey Goldberg to that Signal group message, he still has his job. He doesn't appear to be on the chopping block at all, which is Shocking, to say the least. And he actually attended the meeting with Loomer, Trump, JD Vance, and others. A government official said that Loomer went to the White House yesterday and presented them with her research and evidence. The US official said Loomer was furious that neocons had slipped through the vetting process for administration jobs. Girl, they didn't just slip through the cracks and remain or get employed by the administration. Again, his cabinet is full of neocons.
Yeah, and how did they get there? Because Miriam Adelson gave him, $137 million, and her late husband gave him $200 million in the last 2 campaigns. So she got to handpick a whole bunch of these folks. So like this whole neocon slip through, patient zero, Mike Waltz, is in the room as you guys are having this discussion. So I don't this story doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe she has a different definition of neocon. Maybe by neocon, she just means anyone who has ever been disloyal to Donald Trump or criticized him.
That might be it.
Maybe that's the receipt she's talking about. Hey, this guy once said something bad about you. Let's fire him. We only want loyalists who will do it, what we command them to do. So, but if she actually got real neocons fired who are pro-war, etc., that'd be awesome. Because a lot of people say, Anna, oh, what is this MAGA influencer goes in and gets senior policy guys at the White House and National Security Council fired? That's crazy, right? Kinda. I mean, as long as the right thing happened, I don't really care who did it and how they did it. So if Bernie was president and he listened to Kyle Kalinske tell him to fire a bunch of neocons and we didn't go to war because of that, I'd be like, that's awesome.
That's, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But I guarantee you mainstream media would be freaked. How could they bring this guy in?
Yeah.
That's just a YouTuber and listen to him, right?
Listen, when I go to a buffet, all right, I'm not angling for the weird potato dish with the weird sauce, okay? I'm gonna pick and choose what I like, what's appealing to me. But I'm not gonna crap on the entirety of the buffet. If it's a good buffet, it's a good buffet.
Right.
Right? So that's how you should think of politics. If someone on the other side of the political aisle agrees with you on something as important as ousting neocons from the White House, I jump in it, okay? I want
100%, but remember guys, giant boulder of salt, not just a grain of salt.
Yeah.
We don't really know if these guys were neocons because this story is super weird.
This story is weird, but she did release a statement confirming that she had that meeting with Trump and said that she's not going to get into too many details. So a source familiar said that they are being labeled as an anti-neocon move, meaning the firing. So
yeah, that's interesting. But she goes in the Oval Office, Waltz is there, JD Vance is there. I mean, it was a senior meeting that they invited like an influencer into. She makes a case for firing senior people and they do. I know Washington hates that, but you could make an argument for that's super responsive to your base.
Yeah.
The idea that Biden would give a damn about any influencer online, especially an influencer saying fire people in your administration, especially one that's criticized you before, they wouldn't get within a 2-state perimeter of the Oval Office if a Democrat's in charge.
I mean, that's definitely true.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.